Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Debra Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light.
We're glad you're here this morning. Well, there is a 23-year-old designer who says he's solved America's friendship recession, and it's just in time for Christmas. Avi Schiffmann's idea is plastered all over New York subway stations. If you've been there for a show, you have seen them. Will it work? We'll ask the Morning Light panel to weigh in this morning.
Yeah, good conversation. But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. Diabetes is one of the fastest growing chronic diseases in the world. Nearly 39 million Americans live with it. Type 2 is the most common form, and this condition can develop at any age. We will talk to a doctor about what is causing a rise in cases and how you can prevent this disease. Plus, a Pennsylvania man will share how a diagnosis led him to faith in Jesus Christ.
I love how you connect these stories of people's health challenges with the fact that they were not alone in these crises.
That's right, and that is so important.
Yeah. Well, in the years after the COVID-19 pandemic, sociologists have identified deep tears in the fabric of American community. Staggering numbers of Americans reported having no close friends. But why? Some blame the rise of suburbia as the culprit. Others, the work-at-home phenomenon and the evaporation of community gathering spaces, from the bowling alley and the movie theater to those fraternal clubs. And yes, even churches. Americans seem connected superficially online, but increasingly without deep, lasting friendship, flesh and bone, real people friendship.
Very sad. Well, the friendship recession is an undeniable reality. 23-year-old Avi Schiffmann, the CEO of Friend.com, has the answer. He offers an AI friend you can hang around your neck for just $129.
Picture right there.
Right there it is.
How nice, right?
Schiffmann has spent $1 million placing ads across New York City and running ads like this one.
It's really nice up here. How'd you find this place?
I don't know. I just kind of like to come up here to be by myself. I've never brought anybody else. I mean, besides her.
She goes everywhere with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I must be doing something right then.
I guess so. We'll see.
Oh my goodness. Schiffmann's AI friend promises to always listen, respond, and support you and will never cancel dinner
Everybody
plans.
should have one, right?
Oh, goodness.
Guess what you're getting for Christmas, Debra?
Oh, no.
So has this Gen Z tech wizard solved one of society's biggest cultural problems? Is he onto something? If friendship is about reliability, a listening ear with speedy and thoughtful answers, what could possibly be missing? This little device can do all that. Does a friend have to be flesh and bone to be a faithful companion? And if the friend around your neck isn't the answer, who or what is? I'll ask the Morning Light panel to solve this riddle. Cynthia, Lyons, Dr. Jack Wright, and back with us, Robert William. I'm looking at your necks this morning, and I don't see any virtual friends, but we're all friends here, so none of you are lonely, which is good. Cynthia, your immediate reaction to this friend around the neck. Now, it is not completely unusual for those of us who have, hey Alexa, turn up the, play Beethoven, play Merle Haggard, right, in our homes. We've learned how to navigate life with Siri or other devices. What's so different about this one? It seems to be weirding a lot of people out. Do you think it's a good idea?
No. I don't. But I know that I'm in a different generation than a lot of people that are not weirded out by it. I just don't, there's no personal connection there. And I watched a mom struggle with, my mother struggled with loneliness for a lot of years after we lost my dad. And it's just not the same thing. There's not a personal touch. Is it something that could possibly be useful? Maybe. But I just don't see it as, you know, someone that is there as a friend that has personal emotions, that's dealing with situations you might be going through.
Friendship is messy, but never going to give you up, never going to let you down, never going to run around and desert you, right? I mean, this little device is perfect. It has solved all of the problems that accompany friendship, right?
Wrong.
Why?
I agree with Cynthia on the...
Besides being weirded out, besides having these conversations where you have two people who could be talking to each other, but one of them is talking to the device, right? And the device is listening and hearing your emotions. And then on your phone, it's texting you some advice. Keep going. Don't give up on that marathon you're running. Don't keep reading that book. All the things you say out loud now are collected, and then a response is given.
Yeah. Oh boy. Let me say what is on my mind. It's that human element that's missing, you know. I mean, you can program anything, you know, and you can fly a craft into space and bring it back safely because it's all programmed.
Right.
And I think that's where the difference comes in for me, is I still kind of long for that human touch. And life being what it is in America, I mean, look, our American society is based on individualism. So we're programmed to think it's all about me and and I'm at the center of this and I'm going. And then, so loneliness is not that far off in that kind of environment, you see. Indian society, you know, there's an extended family that even today, despite all of the different influences in culture and society, still for a very much part is very much extended family, and weddings are huge because every third cousin is there, or even some that claim to be the whole village that just shows up. You know, so that's the big difference I see. People are very lonely here, and it was very lonely for me when I came here. I felt it very much, and so this device. So I longed for that human interaction. Yeah. And so, so when I watched the links and all that, I was like, I'm not connecting here.
So the Christian piece of this, so what he's describing is fascinating. You know, when you travel, I was in Turkey recently, and I noticed that all the men, there's no lonely man walking around. There's always 2, 3, 4 men, and they're all laughing and talking and drinking or smoking, whatever they're doing together, but they're not doing it alone. You drive through any American community, and you see people walking on the sides of the road. Nobody is stopping. We are passing human beings. We see them at the corners. They're alone. What is going on, and where is the spiritual response to this? How do you tell people who have nobody, this isn't a good idea? Yeah. What's the alternative?
The alternative is, well, first off, your best friend, which is Jesus Christ. But walking down the side of the street, unless they see a vision, that's not going to come to them. So there has to be a human interaction with them. And I think that's what we're missing in America. We've become sucked into our phones. The pandemic really damaged us, and we sort of pulled back on ourselves, always want to stay 6 feet away, wear a mask, cover yourself up. And it's hard to, I think we still have some of that in us. So it's easy to pass by people and just ignore them. And I think as Christians, we need to not do that. You know, you can't be a busybody about everybody, but we need to be the friend. Like you said, we need human interaction, you know, a conscience, a soul, love, emotion. That little doodad there is not going to do that. You couldn't even call 911 for you. It's not hooked up to the internet.
And if the internet is down like it is this morning in many parts, the cloud is down, that device goes down, so it goes silent.
Well, I don't know about that because it's not connected to the internet. So it's just within itself.
Interesting. Yeah,
it just hears you, gathers noise from the environment, and then it synthesizes what's going on and then just talks back to you. But that's not interaction. I feel sorry and sorry for those people that feel they need that. And then I think, what have I done to prevent them from needing that? How have I interacted with them? I need to do better.
So that's the question then. What have I done? What can I do? What is the way to? We're coming up on Thanksgiving, and we'll have a lot of food. There will be a lot of leftovers. There will be a lot of things that go back in the fridge. What prevents us from using our homes differently, or thinking about, I've got an extra seat, of inviting someone over who may not be safe entirely? But you know, most dinners happen somewhere around daylight. So, what is the risk in that, do you think?
There is none. It's really our own fear. It's our own personal, well, you know, what if they say yes? then you kind of have to bring them into the chaos. If you think about it in the grand scheme of things, if they're sitting by themselves in a home or lonely with somebody else, maybe they want to be brought into chaos. I call it chaos.
Yeah.
Just people and being
Because
together.
life is quiet for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is kind of akin to when I talk on the phone sometimes, if I'm driving in the car or if I'm walking around the house, I have my phone on speaker. So I'm kind of doing the same thing that I'm talking to, somebody that's around my neck in that doojiggy. But it's just not the same. And the only thing that prevents us from doing better is doing better. We just need to take, as much as we personally need to take a step out and a step in faith and go, I'm going to walk to my neighbors. I'm going to walk down the street because I know that person. It really is a lot on both sides.
There's something eerie about this and almost spiritual about this friend.com, right? It almost is described, the way that they describe the device is almost like the Holy Spirit, right? Were you thinking that? I was thinking that if you want somebody to always be able to guide, to be completely present, to always be reliable, you are describing God. In a way, Avi is creating a world without God.
Yeah, you're right, Jeff. Some thoughts I wrote down early this morning was, the very concept of a relationship with God implies fellowship, that God is a God who seeks fellowship. Going back to the Garden of Eden, Adam, where are you? After Adam and Eve had sinned, that was his first question, that fellowship was broken and God's heart is about fellowship. Or if you take the concept of prayer is two-way communication. You're talking to God,
right,
and God is going to listen and talk back to you. His word is there where we can hear him talking to us when we read his word. So when you're looking for a device, you're absolutely right. The parallel is eerie. And when you started off by saying about a friend that never leaves you and that's gone, that God says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. And there are promise after promise in the Bible that talks about he created us in order to have fellowship and not isolation.
The last 30 seconds to you is this response, is there a Christian response or advice that we give to people who say, hey, look, don't spend the $129. Look, how do you make the transition? Somebody's lonely. They're about to find some technological way to solve this problem. How do you pivot and say, but there actually is an answer to this?
I think first you have to have a relationship with that person. You just can't say, hey, buy a nice Bible for $129,
Right.
But I think just come alongside them as a friend. Maybe not even witness. Let your friendship be your witness. And a lot of times when I have done that, just asking them about themselves and not about you, and just sort of showing an interest in them just as a person.
That's the final word. Let your friendship be that outreach there. Thank you very, very much. Excellent, very helpful. Well, coming up on Morning Light, November is Diabetes Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness and encourage people to get screened to assess their risk. Dr. Jack Wright, you just saw him. We'll sit down with Debra to share ways you can lower your risk for this chronic disease. You're watching Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV.
November is National Diabetes Month, a time to raise awareness about the disease that affects nearly 39 million Americans, including adults and children. Diabetes happens when your blood glucose, also called blood sugar, is too high. The disease can lead to serious health complications, including damage to the eyes, kidneys, nerves, and heart. So what are some ways we can lower our risk of diabetes? Joining us is retired physician Dr. Jack Wright. Thanks for being with us.
You're very welcome.
So this is National Diabetes Awareness Month. Let's talk about diabetes. You have diabetes 1 and diabetes 2.
Right. There's two different types of diabetes, and there's actually several other smaller types that are much more rare. Type 1 is an autoimmune disease, where your body develops antibodies against the beta cells in your pancreas to make insulin. Not against the insulin, but against the cells that make it. We're not really sure what the trigger is. It seems to be in a genetically susceptible individual. It may be environmental, it may be a virus, we don't know. But from the get-go, their insulin drops off and they need to be treated with insulin. or they become very ill and in the hospital. Type 2 is much more common. Type 1 is about 5 to 10% of diabetes. Type 2 is 80 to 90%. And this is the diabetics that most people know. And it's a combination of insulin resistance to your own insulin doesn't work right. You don't secrete enough, and then the liver produces too much glucose, and it doesn't cut off, so you get elevated blood sugars. Then these individuals also have abnormal fat metabolism, and it sets up an inflammatory condition throughout their body, which is the reason you have some of the complications that you do.
And how do you get the type 2 diabetes?
A lot of it is lifestyle, not always, but a lot of it is. It's genetic, a strong genetic component. If both parents have type 2 diabetes, your chance is about 80 to 90%. So familial, plus environmental, diet, sedentary lifestyle, a lot of lifestyle changes go into it. But it doesn't mean that it will keep you from having it.
And how are you diagnosed?
Well, you're diagnosed by your blood sugar primarily. And there's normal, there's pre-diabetes, and then there's diabetes. And say a normal fasting blood sugar is about 100. If you get up in the morning and check your sugar. For a pre-diabetic, it's up to about 125. And if it's over 125 or so, then you're felt to be a diabetic. A more common blood test is called the A1C, or hemoglobin A1C. This is a very nice test. It gives you an average of the past 3 months. So it's a nice broad view of what your sugar is. Normal is about less than 5.6%. A pre-diabetic is 5.6 to 6.4%. You want to be careful. You're sort of trending that way. And over 6.5, you're felt to be a diabetic.
And if you have type 2, is it something that you can reverse?
That's a good question. There are sometimes honeymoon periods when you first start treatment. If you really tighten up on like your diet and can exercise, if that's possible, you may pull your sugars back and you may delay the development of full diabetes. But almost everyone, if they're going to trend that way, inevitably they will develop type 2 at some degree.
You mentioned treatment. Let's talk about treatment.
There's a lot of treatment options. The first one is lifestyle. You need to look at your lifestyle. No amount of medication is going to undo a poor diet or lack of activity. So you need to focus on decreasing your carbohydrates and your sugars, focus more on lean meats and vegetables and proteins. You need to become more active. That's one problem in our society. While we're seeing type 2, even in children now, we're seeing it. So increase activity. It may just be walking, depending on what you're able to do. You need to get educated. Okay, there's a lot of education on diabetes, so you need to involve the American Diabetic Association or diabetic support groups or what else from your physician, from a dietitian, whatever. You need to keep getting more and more information and education. And then there's lots of medicines, all new medicines coming out, oral, subcutaneous, insulin pumps. Not everyone needs everything, but you need to educate yourself on that and then follow up. You need to see your physician regularly. There's screening exams that should be done for your eyes and your feet. They monitor blood tests to see how you're doing, and you got to keep on top of it.
How can your faith carry you through this journey?
I think that's a major support for you is your faith. First, ask God to direct you. Where can I find education? What is there something I'm doing that I can make this better? And then what can I do to treat it? Ask God to surround you with support people, with family, friends, church, support groups, your physician, dietitians, whatever is out there. Pray for your doctors. Ask God to give them competence to treat you right. And then pray that God will support you through this lifelong illness, because it is a terrible illness with lots of complications. It can be very depressing to have diabetes. So ask God to get you through that.
Yeah, you need God to get you through this.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this information with us. Coming up next on Morning Light, so what is it like living with diabetes? It can affect your overall quality of life, as Dr. Wright said, but it doesn't have to. A Pennsylvania man was diagnosed later in life. Learn how this news led him to a faith in Jesus Christ. Welcome back. A Harrisburg man was very active and was in the best shape of his life. Sean Sims was shocked when doctors told him he had type 1 diabetes. That diagnosis changed his life forever and led him to a faith in Jesus Christ. He joins us now to share his journey. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So share your journey with diabetes.
Well, as you mentioned, it was unexpected. I was 38 years old, in the best shape of my life. I was active. I was working out about four hours a day, helping to coach the other 8 hours in my workday. I was eating right. I was at about 8 to 10% body fat, and I went in for a CDL exam, and they said, your sugars are a little bit high. I was like, what? What's going on? So I went to the doctor, and they said, yeah, your sugars are high, and we're going to put you on this oral medication and have you go through that. And then I went back after a month, and your sugars still haven't come down. Let's put you in for more tests. And I was like, oh, you're type 1. And it was very interesting. It was an immediate information dump. I went in and researched everything that I could, and of course, talk with medical professionals, and they gave me all the information that they could, but I was at the beginnings of it and didn't have any idea of what was really important and what would come into play later on in life.
You must have been shocked.
Oh, I was. As I said, I was in the best shape of my life. And there had been type 2 in my family, and I knew what the signs were, what to look for. And I had no idea that this was creeping in on my life. And, I had no idea of what steps I had to take, what this was going to look like for the rest of my life. Because it was type 1, I didn't have any idea that I'd be on insulin for the rest of my life. This wasn't something that I could take 14 days of protocol and be done with it. This was going to be something that was forever.
And what does your treatment look like?
Well, I am on an insulin pump now, so it's continuous insulin drip basically throughout the day. That goes about 3 days, and then I have to change out and recharge and refill. I'm regularly, I have a regular medical team that I'm seeing on a regular basis. I went for a time without being treated, and that caught up with me. I have problems with my eyesight. I have problems with sores on the bottom of my feet, and everything's slow to heal. So it's a regular process.
It's been a journey, but it's a journey that brought you closer to God.
Yes. I wasn't a believer at the time when I was diagnosed. As of December 6th, I'll have been a believer for 7 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
The great thing about this is I've had real-time evidence of God using me wherever I'm at. It's definitely not a walk through flowery fields and everything like that. There's challenges and there's trials, but hospital stays. I've been able to share the gospel with rooms full of doctors and medical staff, and I've given away Bibles to maintenance people, anybody who comes into my room. And there's also encouragement that I've given to other people in my life, my church family, my familial, blood relatives. And I've been able to be an encouragement to everybody. And it's just, I've been told by good friends that they look forward to me going into hospital because there's going to be such great stories on the other side of it.
Wow. So God is working through you and is working with you every step of the way.
Definitely.
Sean, thank you for sharing your journey with us. We will be praying for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you believe you are experiencing symptoms of diabetes, it is so very important to have a conversation with your family doctor. Stay with us. We're back right after the break.
Welcome back. Well, a final word today on friendship and Avi Schiffmann's brilliant idea. Well, if you can somehow perfect friendship, remove all the messy, the unreliability of the human kind of friend, it would be perfect, right? Companions who never show up late, they never forget your birthday, they never forget the anniversary, all those special occasions, they always affirm your choices. Then you'll have true friendship, right? Well, if you've lived long enough, you know that it's not all the way that real friendships are formed. Friendships are a picture of God's love for us. They're formed when you realize the person you're friends with is just like you, in need of forgiveness for their bad moods, for their inconsistencies, for all the embarrassing things they do. They forget a lot of important dates. Good friends miss the wedding sometimes or forget dinner. Friendships are formed in fire. When grace has to be extended again and again, real friendship is formed. That's why Avi Schiffmann's idea misses the point. For Debra and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Coleman. Thanks for watching. Make a friend. Check on your neighbors. We'll see you back here tomorrow.